an all-in timing with speedlings. Now, I think what we have is Classic, who is probably well-equipped to deal with Gangnam Terran because the map is Habitation Station, and we've already seen KeeN consistently lift on this map, I think more than once. Yeah. Just try to do like this weird drop style that's pretty clever, but I'm not sure how good it actually is in the long run. So I feel like this Classic pick is like, all right, we already know. It's going to be KeeN on Habitation Station. He's going to do a Gangnam Terran.
This is one of the most predictable picks that MVP could do here. I mean, he's come out so many times here on Habitation Station. He's come out again, and I would expect it in the future as well, guys. If we do see MVP play, they're going to put KeeN on Habitation Station. But Classic, definitely going to be prepared. Usually a pretty safe Protoss, and he's definitely watched the couple of replays that KeeN did have to show us. KeeN right now 3-6, 3-4 versus Protoss. A lot of TVP played. One of the most inconsistent players that we do have here in Pro League. Definitely in his downward slump nowadays and just not playing very well.
Yeah, even the results indicator, the results compass point east there, like I would even put it southeast right now. Like he's not really impressing anymore. His team seems to be on the up and up, and he has gotten some important wins for him. So I feel like he's such a key player for MVP, but because of his inconsistency, it's really scary when you're down 0-2 like this when he's in the booth, because you're like, oh, KeeN can do it. Yeah, I see absolutely can do it. This is his map pick. This is where he wants to play. But I really hope he doesn't mess it up. I really hope he doesn't have an off game here, because KeeN's been known to do that. He's up against Classic, someone with so much experience, and he has no pressure on him right now. He's like sitting to himself going, all right, I'm ready for the Gangnam Terran. If you don't do the Gangnam Terran, I'm just better than you anyways at PvT, so I'm going to kill you. If you do the Gangnam Terran, I'm prepared for that specifically because this is the map that I chose knowing you were going to come out here. And make no mistake, I am guaranteed sure that these players knew that KeeN would be the one coming out. Let's watch this game. It could be our very last game of the night here at the 2014 Pro League.
And actually no lift. Up in the top right, we do have over here Classic in the orange for SK Telecom.
And KeeN, no lifting, anchored to the ground for MVP at the top left in teal. By the way, this map, for those of you guys who wonder, I like to talk about maps a lot. If you want to know where this map originated, it wasn't actually a map made by Blizzard's map making team. It was actually a Red Bull Team Liquid map contest map winner. And of course, Team Liquid partnering with Blizzard and the ladder to get these maps out there. So really, really cool and fun to see that a map that was made just by somebody on the map editor that entered into a contest actually becomes a map that's used worldwide. So I think a TLMC just ended recently, I think like yesterday or 2 days ago. So if you like map making and you want your map to maybe get into these big leagues that are, broadcasted all over the world, like WCS, like Pro League, GSL, I really encourage you, if you like making maps and you're good at it, to get involved in this. Some of the best maps we have in Korea actually come out of a map-making team called Crux. And if you want to check them out, go to teamcrux.tistory.com. Tistory is kind of a blogging website in Korea, so you can go check those out. There's a ton of maps that they're working on all the time. You look back and you'll see some like super old maps too. Maps we've seen in the GSL a long, long time ago. He's going to proxy a second barracks. It's a Makarax, I guess, is like the best way to describe it. It's a little bit off to the side.
Yeah, it's actually like farther away from the base of Classic.
But it's not going to be scouted. There's no reason to believe there's a second barracks. So KeeN's going to have a lot more Marines coming over to pressure than Classic expects with this type of build.
Yeah. The Classic, is he going to see it here? Is he going to think it's command center? I'm not sure. Is he actually going to get... Nope, he does not trap that probe in. Not fast enough on that depot is KeeN.
You know what's funny is actually that in itself, to the most experienced player, will let him know he should have trapped me. He didn't have enough minerals. And you see actually that he sends the probe around to make sure there's no Maka barracks at the natural, because he actually knows at that exact moment that KeeN should have blocked him. So he checks for a second barracks down on the low ground. That is the sign of a super experienced player in Classic. He's like, wait a minute, my probe's not supposed to escape.
Yeah, and look at this. He's sending the probe out. He knows, I think.
I think he does, man. And this is like, This is amazing. This is like being a pro. This is what being a pro means in Korea. So I'm like super impressed with this.
Yeah. Cancels the Zealot is going to, Chrono Boost out of Stalker here is going to be much better against those Marines that are going to come across the map, especially against that SCV as well that could possibly build a bunker. Fortunately for him, a bunker is on the way, and he doesn't see it just yet, but he is going to see it soon.
Oh, wow. Look at this. He decides to kill the SCV instead, which means this bunker will likely finish, and this is going to contain the Nexus a little bit. Now, I'm really curious to see what Classic is going to do to break out, because there's a lot of different options. And whatever he planned originally is not going to work. Bunker is complete here. And there was only one Marine in the bunker. That's one thing. But with 2 Marines in there, Militia Corps not going to be able to help contest this. Can he get the 3rd and 4th in there? He's actually going to trap and kill this Stalker, it looks like. Oh, the Stalker does escape with 2 hit points, but it's not going to be very useful against anything else. Even bumping into the Scanipede might kill it at this point. That's how weak it is.
Yeah, Classic right now, he's adding 2 Gateways and a Twilight Council. He's going to go blink here. He's going to try to break out like this.
He could also try to do DTs, but with the 2 gates coming down, I don't think that's going to be the way he wants to play this. The second barracks is being lifted and sent back home right now, and he's done everything he needed to do here. As long as he doesn't lose the Marines in the bunker, for Classic right now, it's hard to identify what's going on down there. He's like, oh, do you only have 4 Marines in here? Okay, maybe you have more Marines on the low ground. I really just don't know. So with only 4 Marines in there, he's able to deny the Nexus for so long. If he wants to commit to breaking out, KeeN just pops his Marines out, salvages the bunker, and even if he loses all 4 Marines, he's done enough with this to where it's worth it. That Stalker is far from home and can't get past the bunker. It's too low on hit points. So he has to really commit to the blink here with 3 gates. And
yep, this is going to be his response here. He's chrono boosting out that blink. It's going to be a bit late here. I think he's going to fake the Nexus here. Bringing down this probe right now is kind of just saying, like, well, maybe I'll go for it. Maybe he's just going to kill it and then go for the Nexus. Maybe not commit so much, but he's already got the blink on the way, so nice, I'm not sure.
Nice save on that 2 hit point Stalker, too. Oh, this SCV! So important.
Oh, my God.
And he eBay blocks here, actually. And that actually, funnily enough, might give this illusion, like, oh, well, you are going to take the Nexus. I'm going to eBay block you, and then it's not what he wants, so it even hurts him further here. The probe is definitely not going to make that Nexus. He starts a second bunker up here at home.
Yeah, well, he did see that 3 extra Stalkers there that did pop out, so he does know there's 3 gates here. He definitely could assume that some attack is coming his way. So he's going to bring, he has 1 bunker right now. He has 3 bunkers here. He has 1 in the main base, so he's definitely expecting some kind of attack here at the front.
What do you think about the Nexus, actually? I'm not sure how much I really like this. He's just going to try to contain him in transition, which I feel in this case, he's just already 2 behind. We've seen builds like this work in the past where you take a 3rd base when you're like even in economy, and you just kind of trick by making a Twilight Council and blink, and that's not expensive, but how late the Nexus is already, I feel like he has to like also take the gold base too or something to like make this worth it. He's going to blink up here. He does. Now this is a great choice because he can get this angle over here where the SCVs are forced off the line, and so are the units out of the bunker where he can get a good fight. That's a great time warp here. I really like how he's decided to handle this. He cannot afford to lose any Stalkers right now, though, and great microback, not losing a single one, picking off so many of those Marines. Well, it looks like he did lose 1 Stalker, excuse me, but mostly not losing any Stalkers. Now he comes in here again. He's actually going to pick off this bunker. Now this tempo play I like a lot. I really didn't think he was going to be able to get up here and do anything, but this is looking really nice for him right now, and this is a way for him to transition.
The whole thing about this is that he's delaying so much mining time. I mean, those SCVs are just not going to be able to mine. He's not following this up with any more Stalkers. He actually doesn't even have anything back at his home. He's just kind of, getting... He has a bunch of these sentries over here trying to defend against this one sentry who does come in and get the nice scout off, but there's just a pressure play with the Stalkers. He's not going all in here. He has the Nexus up, and KeeN, I think he knows this a bit, so he's going to send some units across, and if Classic is not ready, especially with Stim just finishing right now and +1 about to finish as well, he could be in some trouble.
Here we go. Stim's up. Sentry's not paying attention. What's up? You're out of position. Killing all 3 sentries. That's so expensive. Recall's home, actually. Not a bad choice. He's still going to get a lot of these probes. And actually, on his way out, looks like he's just going to save his Marines instead. Really great choice to recall there. But that was a smart move by KeeN, saying, well, if an SCV can walk into your main base, then imagine what I could do with a big group of bio forces. Did he save one of those sentries, or is that one new one? I'm going to check that.
Yeah, that's a good question.
It looks like it's a new one. So he did lose all 3, I believe. Something I wasn't super paying 100% attention to in that last fight. But the recall was really important. Without that, he would have lost a lot. He still did lose a lot, but a lot more. I like Classic's position here because he still now has this soft contain setup. Doesn't want to commit too much to this. But he's got a robotics bay up, and he's got the upgrades coming in. Even going to do some zealot harassment here. Don't warp at any zealots, you know. Just drop some, kill some SCVs, get out. There's no Vikings. He knows that, and he gets away. Comes over here at the same time. Just really testing the multitasking of KeeN right now.
No, and he's doing a great job of it. I mean, he's definitely behind, but he's doing everything he can, every little piece of anything to just try to slowly grip his way back into the game. And you know, I can't even say how far he is behind. I mean, he's done a very good job of actually catching up decently here, especially with this Nexus.
Yeah,
so.
I'd actually venture as far as to say he's slightly ahead right now with all the damage he's done. And you know, I really feel like at this point with all these blink ups here, a turret would be really nice. You know, get rid of that obs or maybe even a bunker there, because it's like, well, that's a lot of money spent on the bunker, Wolf. You know, can you really afford that? He keeps making bunkers, the Protoss gets more and more ahead. But if he's still consistently doing damage to you while he's also greedily transitioning at home because he has to, then of course he's going to catch up and get back ahead in the game. He now has better tech. He's got cannons going up because he's like, the only thing you have against me maybe is a timing attack where you just come across and bully your way into me and knock me down here. Here comes double drop. Not a bad choice, but he's got plenty of units here to defend. And if he hides and waits, then blinks under the drops, this could be game ending for KeeN. Let's see. All right, he's going to come over here to the right side. Does blink under those drops, and there's no way they're getting out of here. Cannon finishes. Nexus cannon is up. And as long as he targets with a cannon, no way he gets out of there.
That's it. Both medevacs go down, and Classic just being so feisty right now. He is gripping his way back into this game. He is so far ahead, especially with that right now. He's got the Colossi in the way as well as upgrades. Starts at third Nexus. Not going to try to kill KeeN here. Just going to get more and more ahead. I really like his position right now.
Yeah, I think there's a quote, you know, that's quite famous. When you're ahead, further your lead. And
I believe a pretty famous person said that at one point in time.
Yeah, I think it was like Jorasar or something. But now, at this point in time, the 2-2 upgrades are coming out here for Classic. Armory, nowhere to be seen. He's got a second starport because he's starting to freak out about the Colossus count that he was able to get away with while he was getting Blink Stalkers off of 2 base. Now he's taking a third. Mind you, he doesn't take the greedy third at the gold base because he doesn't need to anymore. He's going to take this base. It's much safer. And
poor Marine.
I'm really feeling bad for KeeN because he had such a solid opener. It was just a little bit too much for him to handle, though, with the Blink Stalkers. He lost a lot, and Classic is just playing brilliantly this game. Look at his mini-map, by the way. Look at the vision that he has all over here. It's insane.
Yeah, he's got obs everywhere. He's got little units all over the map. He has pylons in his base to spot for drops as well. He is just playing so well, Classic. I'm loving this right now.
He's got the Warp Prism up to the north, the spot any drops that are coming that way. So, I mean, he's got all of his bases covered. Actually, that's not a Warp Prism. It must be an Observer because it looks like he lost that Warp Prism. But he's got something up there. He's got Probe Zealots all over the base. 2 Observers. Yep. And
both of the Protosses that played on this map today have been just great. I mean, Room before this in the matchup we had before, providing just excellent games so far. Not to say that he's won it just yet, but he's in a very good position. He's got this third base up and mining. KeeN, you know, he's just starting to get it up now. I'd really like to see actually Classic take those gases now, but not going to do that just yet.
Well, it looks like he's looking at his bank and he says, oh, I don't need that quite yet. I'd rather have a little bit more mineral mining to kind of even that out for now, but he will take it, right? He's going to need that later. And now would be as good a time as any to take it. He starts +3 immediately. We'll probably get the attack here in just a second. Yep, there it is, just as soon as he had enough gas. And now he's going to want those geysers and takes them right then and there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he is really playing this quite well, and KeeN is going to struggle to break him because we've already passed this point where the upgrades for the Protoss are better and are going to be that way for the rest of the game. We have passed this point where, you know, Colossus tech is the only tech. He has Psystorm coming up here. He will in just a moment. Start researching that. Charge is nearly complete, and he's adding extra gates because he's powered this up. And if he takes that gold base as his fourth, I mean, what can KeeN do to stop this? I mean, this is just so much Protoss army coming over here to fight this.
Yeah, and you know he doesn't even have all the stalkers with him. He has most of them back here to stop drops, and he's still able to bully KeeN on the map. You know, KeeN's just trying to keep little groups of units out here, just trying to do whatever he can. He just snipe an observer there. That's pretty nice. Just trying to keep Classic not really having that map control that he wants. And he's done a decent job of it so far, but I feel like Classic doesn't even need it at this point. You know, he has so much vision anyway with the observers that he feels pretty comfortable right now.
As he should. So, +3 for KeeN starter right away. He's really not missing a beat on that. His Viking count is solid, and he's also getting ghosts out. This game isn't over yet. He still has an opportunity here. The question is, how does he go about it? It's a really tough map to try to take a Terran favorable engagement, because there's all these choke points that if the Protoss has a larger army than you, you have to avoid them. But it's just like the only place where you could really fan out and get a concave and try to burst your way through is in the middle below the watchtower. But even there, the Protoss army is likely to avoid that location because it's just the way that you walk across the map quickly. On top of that, he doesn't have the Marauder count to do burst damage to even take a fight like that. This is going to have to be EMP oriented, his plan here, with the Vikings being split very nicely to deal with the Colossi and avoid storms if he can.
Yeah, Storm just now getting started. He's probably going to use, you know, whatever High Templars he has in his mix to try to do some feedbacks. Like you mentioned, those EMPs, so important. And right now we have Classic out on the map. He's looking to do some damage. MVP KeeN is, you know, scanning a bunch, trying to get a better feel on where exactly this Protoss army is and where exactly he can do some damage to his base. So KeeN has to be careful right now, and he's doing just that. He's putting up rings of missile turrets in his base, but it's a little bit late. Actually, this Warp Prism is going to come in here pretty unharmed and start doing some harass damage back here.
Yep, he's going to go and stim it down. But this moves some of the units out of position. Great Vikings volleys right there. He needs this.
Yep, took out that Colossus.
Yeah, if he can get that Mothership Core too, then maybe, just maybe, KeeN's got a shot in this game. KeeN has shown us some of the best TVP late game micro against players like Creator, who forced that late game scenario upon him. And if he can take these fights, these engagements that he's so good at, then maybe he comes back here. This Command Center is coming up. He's also trying to take the gold base right now, getting that extra minerals to be able to boost out those 3 additional barracks he's adding right now to make more Marauders. He's going to switch into that Marauder composition. And Brennan, on the production tab, we have not only 1 Nexus, but 2, and the Tempest transition coming up here for Classic. He wants to start adding that into his mix so he can do some extra range damage and eventually force an engagement out of KeeN, because the Tempest poking at you over a long period of time, you eventually will have to deal with that. Okay, here we go. This is not the choke point that KeeN wants to engage into. Psystorm is ready. Psystorm on all the Vikings, but he does eliminate those Colossi.
Yeah, the Colossi going down so fast, and a really big ball of bio right now, not really needing to micro. He's just fanning out here, and he's taking a really good engagement here, KeeN. He's going to roll over all of those Colossi. Storm's not doing enough damage, and, you know, with the Warpins here, Classic is going to even it up. It's still a decent fight for both players.
A great fight for KeeN, though. This is what he needed, and now he's going to retreat onto the high ground here, forcing those Protoss units back. He killed every Archon, every Colossus, and the High Templar are eliminated now as well. And he has that gold base up and mining. He's made it into a planetary. He can reproduce his units very quickly. They're very cheap. He added those additional barracks because he knew the one way he wins this game is if he takes some fights like this and starts to get some momentum, where he has an army that gets larger and larger and larger. It starts to snowball, and he keeps taking engagements over and over and over again. So with the next few waves of units, he needs to try to fight again and continue pushing against this army, because it takes a long time to get that Colossus count back up. Now he's going to come over here with those Vikings that he has to zone out a little bit. Is going to drop this gold base. He needs to keep trading and keep fighting and keep that Protoss army from forming into a death ball again, and that's exactly what he's trying to do here. He's got these Vikings in a good position. Can he hit some EMPs? He's only got 1 ghost.
Is he going to go for it? Actually does not drop it just yet. Wants to wait until that Protoss army is more balled up. A nice feedback there onto one of the ghosts. Does take it out, but fighting from the low ground here very efficiently is KeeN, just starting to do a lot of damage.
He's abusing that
on
terrain
the way as well.
Yeah, there's a nuclear missile being researched, but abusing that terrain, knowing that the Zealot heavy composition without Colossi just yet and the remake of the Stalkers is not going to be able to fight at the gold base. And you can see it on Classic's face. He knows he's lost some momentum in this game, and KeeN's army is now fully upgraded, as is his. And he's starting to realize, okay, this is not a 1 game yet. I really need to sit back and assess the situation. He's actually starting a few more probes here. I think he's realizing his probe count is actually a bit weak as well. His mineral income is not as solid as he would like it to be with all the bases that he has to saturate. Now, with the nuclear missile, I think KeeN is just going to constantly harass this gold base, force probes he pulled off, and maybe eventually whittle down the health of that Nexus.
No, I think that's exactly what he's going to use the nukes for as well. It's so easy to get that over here. Here he's going to snipe another observer. It's going to take away a lot of the vision of Classic in the middle of the map. At the same time, he knows that base is over there. He tried to land a factory over there, actually, but here comes the nuke.
Yep, there it is. He's going for it. EMP is the High Templar, so they can't feedback him. And that nuke will be landing, Brendan. He has to pull those probes away. The harassment over here is also quite nice. Looks like he only gets one probe or so. Somehow minerals cannot be destroyed, so they're not affected by this. Now this base over here will be defended, but again, it's taxing the multitasking of Classic right now quite a bit. If he messes up just one time against a nuclear missile, it's going to cost him big. And KeeN may even try to use the nukes now to zone out the Protoss army while he harasses. That's something else to consider. We've seen this a lot in the past, especially in Wings of Liberty on maps like Crossfire with a lot of choke points. Now KeeN is again getting into a good spot here. Excellent EMPs there. Good Storm does go down, but now that he's ridden it out, he could start picking away at those Colossi. He's going to get one, and maybe a second one. Here's that nuke I was talking about, using it very positionally. Now the Protoss army can't stick around. He can target down the Nexus and then cancel the nuke if he wants to. Decides to cancel the nuke regardless here, but he's just stopping mining here completely.
Classic, I mean, rather KeeN is just playing this so well with the terrain, like you mentioned before. He is using it so well. And Classic, you can see he's struggling. These Zealots aren't doing much. Seems like he wants to take an engagement here. How are the EMPs? They look like they are decent. Not getting a good look at the fight, but here we go. Now fighting with a ton of bio, but a nice Storm goes down, going to push KeeN back.
A good EMP attempt. A bit of a disappointing micro control there from KeeN, though. That cost him dearly. It took him a long time to actually get over there and start splitting those units. He was fighting in a choke point as well, where the Storms got excellent hits.
Yep.
And even though that EMP went down, everything KeeN has worked for, Brendan, everything he's done in the past 10 minutes may all now be for nothing, because his army is dead, and a Protoss army does not wait. It moves across the map with killing force. If you win one battle, it doesn't matter the reinforcements. Great stim here. Archons with too many hits. And that's just how late game TVP is. You mess up once, game over, you're dead. The Protoss army does not need to be micro, does not need to be controlled. The Terran army is the one that has to be controlled.
Yeah.
Oh god, those SCVs.
There's just too many Archons here. There's
GG.
the GG.
Oh, look at KeeN's face, he knows it. Fighting his way back into that, but that is late game TVP. You have to micro 10 times harder than the Protoss does, but that's how the matchup is played. He makes a huge control mistake. He micros the one unit, the Ghost, to try to get the EMP, but it cost him his entire engagement. He fights in a choke point against Colossi, Storms, Archons, and everything dies.
Yeah. And we didn't really get a good look at that fight, but I don't feel like any of those EMPs really went down on the Archons. There was a huge Archon wall at the front that soaked up so much damage, and KeeN just wasn't able to handle it. Like you mentioned, the micro mistakes pretty apparent in that fight. And that's going to be it for MVP. 3-0, another one here
back to
on
back.
Sunday.
It's an unfortunate loss to take. I really have to hand it to KeeN, though. That was one of his best games I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, definitely.
That was solid. That was impressive. That was play to win, like his life was on the line out of him. He got a bit too fancy with that Ghost drop, though, and that cost him the engagement. I really feel with a solid fight there, splitting his units outside the choke point, especially with all those Zealots where they start to bunch up against each other. If he fans out that army, could have taken a better fight here. As it is, Dark, Sue, and Classic, all three of them win respectively against Dream, DRG, and KeeN. The first two games done by Zerg timing attacks and all-ins. The third game played late game by Classic. Really solid defense and transition out of the actually great bunker play out of KeeN with the Maka barracks.
SKT, getting the revenge on MVP for taking a fast one there in round 2. And with that win, that 3-0, SK Telecom T1 is actually going to take the first place spot right now with +5. They are 2-0 in wins and losses as well. So looking a lot better here in round 3 for SKT.
Yeah, really important win there to get that +3 against such a strong opponent. Not many teams will be able to say for the rest of the round that they 3-0'd MVP. So to be able to get that against a strong team looks good. It looks like a bright future for them going into round 3. And pride-wise for them at the top here, looking pretty excellent. Now our matchups that we will have tomorrow and on Tuesday are Jin Air versus Samsung and CJ versus KT on Monday. And then on Tuesday, we'll have Incredible Miracle versus MVP and Prime versus SKT to close things out for the week.
A lot of good matches there. CJ versus KT going to be a big one, as well as Jin Air versus Samsung. That's going to be a great day to watch. Definitely catch that one. If you can only catch 1 or 2 days, make sure you see that one. But then, SKT and Prime going to be a great match down there as well.
Well, I have to say it's been a good day of Pro League. It's been a fast day, very technical matches, a lot of them. The best game of the whole day was the last one. Classic having a deficit, fighting his way back in with Blink Stalkers. Then KeeN is able to battle his way back in to the game with really good decision making and strong engagements, good composition building, constant harassment, even trying to use nuclear missiles. Very, very, I don't know, very back and forth, but that's like not the word I want to use. I want to use like an even more positive word to describe this game. I'm having some trouble, but tell your friends about this one. If anyone asks you which games would you recommend, I would definitely recommend the last one.
Yep.
And Brendan, that's going to do it for us for today.
Yeah, very quick day, very cool day, and it was fun to cast with you, Wolf.
It was fun to cast with you as usual. After going to do some casting at Code A, I'm back here with you. It feels good, man. So again, out of respect to the families of the victims of the ferry, we're not going to have any interviews, and we're just going to close out right now. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Korean Standard Time. Have a good night.